The lawyer's words didn't sink in at first. They didn't explode or echo or do anything dramatic. They landed quietly, almost politely, and then they stayed there heavy and unmoving, like something crushing my chest from inside. "Mr. Hale," he said, clearing his throat, "according to final probate ruling, you inherited approximately 1,200 acres of lakefront property." I remember staring at the wall behind my computer screen, waiting for him to laugh, waiting for the punchline, but none came. Instead, he added, "The land belonged to your grandfather, Samuel Hale." That name hit harder than the acreage. My grandfather had been gone most of my life, a distant memory from a childhood that fell apart early. I hadn't thought about him in years. And yet here he was, reaching across time to pull me into something I never saw coming. Just hours later, I drove north to see it with my own eyes. I expected trees, wilderness, silence. What I found instead felt like a slap. 47 cabins lined a paved road. A massive timber clubhouse stood near the shore. There was a marina, docks, boats, manicured lawns, gates, guards, an entire gated community sitting comfortably on land my grandfather had owned since the 1950s. And inside a polished office overlooking the lake sat a woman named Victoria Langford, smiling calmly as she told me I was trespassing. That was the moment everything changed. Welcome to QA Stories, where real life proves that justice is never simple and never free. If you're watching this from YouTube or anywhere else, drop a comment and tell me where the story finds you, because what happened next reshaped everything I thought I knew about right and wrong. The call that started all came while I was buried in spreadsheets. 3 screens open, marketing metrics spread out like a puzzle I'd been hired to solve. Unknown number, Seattle area code. I almost ignored it. Freelance analysts don't usually get urgent phone calls, and anyone important usually emails first. But something made me answer. "This is Evan Hale," I said, eyes still locked on my monitor. The voice on the other end was calm, professional, the kind that carried authority without needing to raise itself. "Mr. Hale, my name is Gregory Whitman. I'm an estate attorney calling regarding the estate of Samuel Hale. I believe he was your grandfather." My hands froze on the keyboard. Samuel Hale. I hadn't heard that name spoken out loud in decades. "He passed away when I was 5, I said slowly. "My parents divorced not long after. We lost contact with that side of the family." There was a pause, the kind where you know the other person is choosing their next words carefully. "Your grandfather actually passed in late 2017, Whitman said. "His estate has remained in probate due to difficulty locating heirs. You are his sole surviving grandson, and according to his will, you are the primary beneficiary." I leaned back in my chair, the noise of the city outside my apartment suddenly feeling distant. Beneficiary of what? I asked, already sensing the answer wouldn't be small. Whitman didn't hesitate. "Approximately 1,200 acres of land bordering Lake Alderwood in northern Washington." The air left my lungs. 1,200 acres wasn't land. It was a lifetime. "That can't be right," I said. "My grandfather wasn't wealthy. I remember a small cabin. Trees. That's it." Whitman's tone stayed steady, but there was something beneath it now. "The property has been in your family since 1954. Taxes were paid consistently until his death. However, there are complications. I strongly recommend you come in to review the documents." Complications. I'd spent years reading between lines and data. That word carried weight. "What kind of complications?" I asked. Papers shuffled on his end. "There's a homeowners association currently operating on the land. Lakeshore Ridge Community. They've constructed residential structures and claim usage rights based on a survey filed in 2018. The problem is that their survey does not align with the original deed in any meaningful way." I felt my stomach tighten. "You're telling me they built on my grandfather's land?" Whitman didn't answer directly, which was answer enough. "There are families living there now," he said carefully. "This isn't going to be simple." That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling of my apartment, thinking about fragmented memories of my grandfather. His hands always smelled like pine. He used to say land was something you protected, not because it made you rich, but because it remembered who you were. I didn't fully understand it then. I did now. The next morning, I sat across from Whitman as he laid out the evidence. Original deed, 70 years of tax records, survey markers, and then the fraudulent resurvey, filed months after my grandfather died, shifting boundaries just enough to steal everything. I drove north that afternoon. The forest thickened as the city disappeared behind me. When the lake came into view, it stole my breath. Dark blue water, still as glass, wrapped in towering evergreens. I understood instantly why my grandfather never let it go. Then I saw the sign. Lakeshore Ridge Community. Carved timber, decorative iron, expensive confidence. My GPS confirmed it. I was already on my land. A guard stepped out, hand raised. Private community, he said. Do you have a pass? I showed him the deed. His friendliness vanished. Minutes later, the gate opened. The HOA president will see you, he said. I drove slowly past cabins that didn't belong there, counted them. 47, each one built with care, money, and the assumption of permission. Near the shore, I spotted something half buried beneath moss and needles. A concrete foundation. My grandfather's cabin, erased, replaced by strangers' dreams. I took photos, every angle, every timestamp. Then I looked up at the clubhouse and saw her watching me from a window. Victoria Langford. I didn't know her yet, but I knew what she represented. Someone who believed that if you waited long enough, if no one was around to stop you, ownership became optional. She was wrong. I walked toward the entrance, feeling something solidify inside me. This wasn't about money. It wasn't even about land. It was about standing on ground that carried my family's name and refusing to let it be rewritten. And that was just the beginning.